All right. Well, thank you for coming. So there's only two of us tonight because of work engagements. So I just want to say this to anyone who is watching. We're not going to be recommending anything out of this committee, but because I had already had plans to talk about some stuff that I've been looking into, I figure we can still talk through that. Again, not recommending anything out of this committee, recognizing that we don't have a majority here, so do not send me too many angry emails, please. So we have three things on the agenda today. One is sidewalk issues, the second is green infrastructure, and the third is bike paths and bike path funding. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is sidewalk repair. So like a lot of our infrastructure, our sidewalks are in desperate need of repair in a lot of places. Sidewalks in general are under the purview of the homeowner to fix, and usually the city has been a reactive presence, meaning they've only enforced sidewalk repair issues if someone has a complaint about it. So recently there was an incident on Floral Avenue where an elderly woman fell due to improperly maintained sidewalk and had pretty significant injuries because of it. And her daughter, Michelle Pruitt, who works for Norwood City Schools, emailed the city about it, and then I heard of it, and I asked her to come here today, but she wasn't able to come. But she sent me something to read, so I wanted to kind of enter that into the public record here, so I'm going to read it in full. Council members, I respectfully ask for your time and attention to mine and my family's concerns regarding our damaged sidewalks. My parents recently moved from Oakley of 50 years to their dream home on Floral Avenue. That dream was cut short when the first walk my parents took resulted in my mother breaking her nose, losing 3 of her natural teeth, and suffering several bruises and abrasions. She tripped on a damaged portion of the sidewalk on Floral Avenue. 2 months and thousands of medical bills later, my parents are no longer walking their neighborhood or any of the surrounding streets in Norwood for that matter. That is unacceptable. Our crumbling sidewalks affect our entire community negatively. They're an eyesore, are dangerous, and bring our property values down as well. Holding homeowners responsible by enforcing the code could be a start. It would be hard to expect a homeowner to fix their busted concrete when the streets they drive to get to their house is full of potholes. Safe, maintained roads and sidewalks play a vital role in the Norwood community. Thank you for your time and attention to this serious matter, Michelle Pruitt. So that was her email in full. So with this, obviously, she makes a great point. It's hard to hold homeowners to account when roads are also crumbling. And with our limited budget and our limited ability to fix these roads and sidewalks, most of the focus is on the roads because more people use them. They're more important for business. It's understandable. So I've been talking to Noah, the safety service director, about this, and there's a couple things that we can do, or things that I think would be good to do. One is one he's already doing, which is when we are repaving roads, like we were doing with Slane, he's going to start sending out letters to people on those roads, and he's made contact with the contractor that's working on those roads and saying to these homeowners, hey, if you want to get your sidewalk fixed as well, we can offer a reduced rate because he's already out here. This contractor's already out here. So that's one thing that can really, I think, probably help. Obviously, that does not help roads that are not going to be paved anytime soon. We could also say that these sidewalks need to be repaired if they're owned, maybe do more enforcement on property owners that have more money, like large apartment buildings. They tend to have more money for maintenance. They should try to help keep our city great and beautiful by maintaining the sidewalks that are in their purview. The third thing, something that I want to do, like personally, again, not recommending this out to council, is just look for any grants that help maybe these homeowners defray the cost of replacing and repairing sidewalks. So I know there's stuff with Safe Path to School, there's stuff with ADA accessibility with curb cuts. There could be something out there, so I'm going to try to look into that myself, and if I find something, I'm going to talk to the city about it. So, any comments, Alexis?
I don't, but those all sound like very good solutions.
Okay. So yeah, sorry, I'm going to do a lot of talking. I feel a little anxious / embarrassed.
You're the chairwoman.
I am the chairwoman, my gosh, and I will do this. The second thing I want to talk about is green infrastructure. make sure no one's calling me angrily, so that's good. We obviously think of infrastructure with roads, sidewalks, bike paths, but I think that we should start to think about our trees as a part of infrastructure too. So we have a lot of research that's been done by so many people that shows that trees have a really positive effect in the city. They help with controlling the climate in the city. They reduce the temperature, especially in summer. They can help with water retention and reduce erosion, and they help with property values. You know, everyone likes a lovely, beautiful, well-maintained, mature set of trees, and it's a great way to connect with our history too. These are trees that have been around for, in some cases 75, 100, 150 years, since maybe before some of these houses were even built. So with that, I think that it would be good to, reactivate the tree board. We have a tree board. We have the ability to have this consulting board that helps the city and private homeowners better guide how they treat trees, how they plant trees, what the best trees are to plant, as well as other foliage. So right now the tree board doesn't have much of a budget, so I want to try to see what kind of budget we can get. Let's see what else. I have a list, but I've lost my notebook, and I'm just trying to go from memory. Yeah, so tree board, trying to get an arborist, not on staff of the city, but an arborist that can be a consultant to the city on tree board in the regulations that it is formed from. We are allowed to get an arborist on staff. It can be from in the city or outside of the city, because this is a specialized thing. It may not be something we could necessarily find in Norwood. We could have someone who lives somewhere else be on the tree board and help as a consultant there. That could also help with public works, because right now I talked to Clint, and they don't have anyone on their staff that is certified as an arborist, though there is one person who might be getting that certification at some point. They do some consulting with outside arborists like Cincinnati Arborist Guild, but a lot of the work is done in-house. So I think it might be helpful to have another outside third-party person come in and take a look at the trees, especially on our public lands, and help maintain them. The third thing I'd like to do is try to establish a heritage tree list. So this is kind of like where you have heritage houses. You have houses that you're celebrating because they're so old, they're such an important part of our history. I think it would be really cool if the tree board could maintain a list of these heritage trees where people who have these huge trees on their property are recognized for the fact that they have these wonderful big trees. They're doing such a huge part for climate control in the area. And we can also recognize them better so that if someone would buy the property and want to cut them down, it could be something that maybe they can take a step back and say, no, this is a pretty important tree. This doesn't apply to all trees, I want to be clear. It's not like every single tree is considered like a heritage tree. This is something that other cities have done, by the way, too, in Ohio. So it's typically trees that are above 25 inches in diameter. DBH is the term that arborists use, which is about yay big. They're big trees. They're decent sized trees. Having this type of list could help protect those trees and prevent them from being unnecessarily cut down just because a developer comes in and wants to have more space in which to build on stuff. I will say that in this new hypothetical list, there's always the possibility that these trees get damaged. They could start dying, they could get hit by lightning, they become a danger to property. It's not like it's going to prevent you from cutting down any trees ever again. If a tree is dead, yeah, it has to come down, it's dangerous. But I think that it's important that we do something to recognize that these trees are an important part of our city, and we should protect them how we can.
That sounds great.
Yes, cool. I'm saying this to you, Alexis. Just to you.
Audience of one.
Audience of two.
Two.
Yeah.
No, that sounds,
All right.
so it's meant to be like a deterrent or like an encouragement for,
Yeah,
like an
just
encouragement for conservation more
Yes,
than.
an encouragement for conservation. So if someone, say, like, has this huge oak on their property, and maybe they're on the fence about whether they want to keep it or not, because it is a
You're
lot of
hoping it'll-
maintenance. Huh?
Yeah, I said, so that would be like the hope that it
Yeah,
stops.
it would
yeah.
stop them from having to cut it down because it's recognized as this important thing. And
Right, but it does, I'm assuming they don't give like the city the power to intervene if someone tries to cut it down,
That
or
would
does
be
it?
illegal.
That's what I figured.
That would be highly illegal. All we can do
Is ask them not to.
is try to raise awareness, get a list of trees that we know are big, and if someone has an issue with that tree, hopefully they'd come to the city and say, hey, we're having issues, maybe we could come to some other arrangement other than cutting the tree down.
Right. That sounds great.
Yeah, so I want to not trying to do anything illegal here, please. The city has enough lawsuits to deal with. It does. So, third thing I want to talk about briefly is bike paths. So right now there's a lot of money floating out there for bike paths, both integrating within the roads as well as converting old rail lines to walk and bike paths. I mean, we see this with Wasson Way. We see this with Crown Cincinnati. I've got an infrastructure meeting, so don't worry about me. Right now, we have possibly the opportunity to get the spur that currently runs from basically Clenny up through Lower and Upper Millcrest. If we can get in contact with the rail line, we might be able to get them to give it to the city. We could in turn work with these other already pre-existing organizations to get funding to turn this into a bike path that connects to Wasson Way. So that's something I'm trying to do right now. I reached out to the rail line person who's supposed to be the point of contact. Hopefully I'll get in contact with them in the next couple weeks. They had offered it to the city apparently about 20 years ago, and at that time the city wasn't interested, which is totally fair. But now there's a lot of interest in expanding these bike paths, and I think it would be a huge boon for Norwood to have this safe path from Sherman down to Wasson Way, especially considering the high school and the middle school are just down the road. There's a lot of families that don't have a very safe route to get down there right now in Ward 1. So I think it would be a huge benefit and would remove what is right now a overgrown, kind of unsightly, unused rail line. So.
Can I add something?
Yes, sure. We have plenty of time, so come hither, yes.
Okay, so I was kind of hoping this would all come up, and as you know, I'm real interested in the establishing bike access from behind Factory 52
Right.
to Harris.
Oh, yes.
And beyond.
Yes.
And I've been doing a little research, and what Wade Johnson had said, I don't know, pre-COVID, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years, that there is preliminary funding that kind of researches, and then you get the funding to do the build-out. So it is kind of like a 2, 3, 4 years here and 2, 3, but anyway.
Right.
So I see Harris as being a lot, well, not very easy, but easier to get done. And even when I was talking about the permeable pavers and the grid stuff.
Right.
That kind of, using that kind of thing to cut through. The problem is Wesley with that one, but what Wade suggested was the Clean Ohio Trail money. So you might want to write that one down. But
I was just thinking.
in reading about that, Emily, what they really like is recreation and fitness and access to recreation.
Yes.
So the argument for that funding could be very, very strong because you're giving everybody access to the pool. You're,
Yeah, Waterworks has a ton of
minimizing the need for parking. You're, I mean, it's such a great area. And it would just be making it cleaner and giving people the ability to, get there so much easier. So right now, there are a lot of barriers to getting to the pool. Okay, so that's the Clean Ohio funding. And I think that, the other thing is we can't really ignore the fact that there's a lot of competition for this funding.
Yes.
So we do need to kind of pick our, I don't want to say pick our battles like but we don't want to be competing against ourselves and.
Absolutely.
Right, because with the spur, I was even looking and thinking, you could get Harris, you could connect those, you could make the argument that you're reestablishing the east-west connection. Right.
Yeah.
So that when something has to happen at Wesley or Montgomery, we've already done some kind of strategic planning.
Right. I think that would be the best way to move forward, is looking at this as a whole package that will eventually come together.
Right. It sounds blue sky, but it's really, this is where these things start. And I noticed that, Tri-State Trails put out a new map, and they've got the spur and Harris and they've got them dotted in already.
Right.
So, I think,
Yeah, I just think right now the momentum is on our side. And we might
Absolutely.
as well try to do what we can, what is the most feasible thing, and then also plan for these things that may not be able to happen just yet, but something we definitely want. So
Right.
the strategic plan, yeah, that's
Right.
what it's for.
the other thing that's getting a lot of interest is the nature of equity in all of this, that it's equitably reconnecting people
Right.
to the pool, to Wasson Way, so that we've got, students or fixed income folks, so that everybody can enjoy Wasson Way and the pool.
Absolutely.
And, okay, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good that it's right there.
Right.
And the people that live by there can access it, but there's a lot of people in the northern part of Norwood and the western part that don't have a good way to get there. I mean, I've tried
Exactly.
to travel from the donut shop, which
Yes.
is in Ward 1, down to Wasson Way, and it's a little tricky in
Yes,
some
it
places. So, yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, cool.
Thank
Thank you. But yeah, that's kind of all I really wanted to talk about. I just wanted to put that out there. Also, to provide myself accountability, because now that I've talked about it, I have to go and do it.
I want to say one thing about the
Yes.
Heritage Tree Trail.
Yeah,
That if you have designated heritage trees and you have a sort of a legacy tree list,
right.
you could be coming in behind trees that are aging out, and you could be forward thinking into the heritage tree of the future. So
Yeah.
we can be, thinking in terms of larger trees, legacy trees, canopy trees, or ornamentals, doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
But,
There's a bunch of different
What?
ways to use that list, especially in parks. Like, we have all these wonderful large trees that maybe are reaching the end of their natural lifespan. We need to think about how we're going to replace the shade that's going to be lost, even if we have, the best intentions and baby the trees. They don't live forever.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we got to think about that, thinking long-term stuff. Anyway, so that, you have anything to add, Alexis?
I don't, but thank you. Thank you for moving forward and coming forward with great ideas, Emily.
Yes, cool. So I guess that concludes the infrastructure informal meeting / me talking about stuff for half an hour.
I loved it.
So, thank you, everyone who tuned in. Thank you, Steve. And I'll see you in half an hour.